What is going on, Wolfpack Nation? Welcome back once again, y'all. We are here once again with the Tuffy Talk live show, y'all. Already got a ton of people in the chats, which I love to see even before you even get going, y'all. Make sure to, again, send more and more questions, thoughts, concerns, whatever may be in the chat. We will get to all of them here today. But with that being said, thank you all so much for tuning in with us. We got an exciting show planned here for y'all, a lot to get to, even though it's kind of a slow period, But again, we got camp starts up tomorrow. Like, we are, believe it or not, folks, we're less than 12 hours away from the beginning
It's happening.
of camp. That's crazy. Not even less than 24 hours. We're less than 12 hours away, y'all. It's unbelievable. So it's so excited. Go ahead, Michael.
I thought it was Wednesday. Is it tomorrow?
It's tomorrow.
Tomorrow camp starts.
Okay. Cool.
Yep.
It's
happening. I was thinking Wednesday.
So,
it's happening.
But got Nick already in the chat saying good evening, Wolfpack Nation. Looking forward to a great episode and hopefully a great week for football. Yes, we will definitely talk a little bit about that here today. Got Mark, let's go Pack. Yep, all day. And same thing, Connor, go Pack. Looking forward to football season. We're ready to go. Got Michelle, as always, in the chat. A good, marvelous Monday. And also, too, Michelle, got to give a shout out to her daughter, who's an incoming freshman at NC State. So we definitely wish the best luck to her as she begins her in-state alumni start. And they got Cole Page, Wilson, North Carolina house. Love it. Appreciate it, Cole, for tuning in. So, all right, y'all. So with that being said, I posed a question on Twitter before about a couple hours ago, talking about who was the best number 9 in NC State football history. And this is something for me, which I feel like that is definitely a great debate topic. There's been many different times where it's been discussed because, I mean, it's definitely neck and neck. I don't think there's ever will be a clear winner, but it's something which I always said, hey, it'd be cool to come on a live show and do like a small debate about it. So with that being said, let me pull up the latest.
Pretty sure it's obvious. It's Savion Jackson. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, you're right. But as of right now, there's been 100 votes so far. 63% have been Mario Williams, 37% Bradley Chubb. Yeah, yes. All right, Greg, easy now. All right. So with that being said, before the show day, I said, you know what, Greg, let's you and I do it. So Greg, being the old school guy he is, I said, you take Mario Williams, I'll take Bradley Chubb. So again, we'll just kind of do like an opening statement thing. I'll let Greg kind of give his opening statement for Mario Williams. I'll give my statement for Chubb, and then we'll hand over to you, Wolfpack Nation. Let us know in the comments who you think maybe won the debate, and then also to kind of provide us your own comments, of who you think and why is the better number 9 all time. So once again, Greg's got Mario Williams. I got Bradley Chubb. Greg, tell me and Wolfpack Nation why Mario Williams is the best number 9 in state football history.
Well, first off, anyone that wears the number 9 is honoring Mario Williams. So that should end the debate right there. But with that being said, he was the first ever ACC player drafted number 1. All right. Still the only defensive player drafted number 1 overall in the NFL. And his records are abundant. And
did he do it in 3 years?
He did it in 3, correct. Now you could argue Chubb, and I'm not even gonna give this point to Leighton because I'm gonna let him. He has to make the point himself. But yes, he did it in 3 years. So there's my opening statement.
Okay. Dang. All right. That was the opening statement. Dang. I was going to go full out.
No, I don't. Yeah, we'll let it. I mean, come on. I mean, we're going to let this progress into the debate.
Okay. Well, so for me, y'all, I mean, I guess, if I'm going to try and keep it as short as it was with Greg, I mean, first of all, I mean, if you look at the all-time sack record list, you see one guy at the top of the list in Bradley Chubb, which you love to see for sure. And I could argue as well, I mean, that, you look at his story about where he came from, where he came into NC State being a not heavily recruited guy, again, a 3-star linebacker. I want to mention a linebacker, not even defensive lineman, a linebacker who had offers from ECU, Georgia State, West Virginia, NC State. So, not necessarily any blue blood schools. And he didn't even start as a linebacker when he came to NC State. He actually started off as a linebacker and then his sophomore year transitioned to defensive end. and competed against a very, heavy group of defensive linemen alongside Contavious Street, who was a border 4- or 5-star defensive lineman, BJ Hill, Justin Jones, who all three of them are still in the NFL. Even had a young Darian Roseborough, who was a 4-star defensive lineman. And even through all those guys, he stood head and tails above everybody else. And we'll talk about that here in 2017. So, hey, Greg, easy, man.
All right. So I'll counter that argument. You made the point for me. He was on a defensive line, Chubb, that had all draft picks, right? And you can argue that Mario Williams did not get the same kind of treatment that Bradley Chubb did as far as the double teams and all of that, because that defensive line was so good that Chubb played on that you could not afford to double up in certain areas or you would have gotten killed. So, all right. So that's the counterpoint for that. Now, you mentioned that Chubb is the all-time sack leader. That's just one statistical category. Let me give you some stats. NC State single season tackles for loss record, 27.5 in 2005. All right. I'll keep going. Never mind. NC State single season sacks record, same season, 2005, of 14.5. All right. I think he's like one sack behind the all-time leader. Again, one category for Mr. Chubb. Congrats on that. And he is the NC State single game tackles for loss leader. Now that's been broken. Don't know by who. So maybe it was Chubb, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. And then the last one, he was the single game sack leader with 4 in one game.
Yeah,
there you go.
Well, I mean, what's that?
Nothing. That's
okay.
There you go. There you go.
Oh yeah. So the one thing which I'll counter back to that is, I would say you were talking about the double teams that Mario Williams had to deal with. Well, the one thing which I would say back to that is the quality of the defenses were very different. Just to kind of go over some stats real quick. So in 2005, nationally, points per game, State was 12th. Passing yards, State was 27th. Passing touchdowns, State was 11th. Rushing yards, 14th. Rushing touchdowns, 16th. Total offensive yards average, 5th in the country. Now let's talk about 2017. Points per game, 51st. Passing yards per game, 104th. Passing touchdowns, 87th. And then total offensive yards average, 69th. And you may say, well, what does that matter? Well, the one thing which I will say is obviously if you have holes open up quicker, then the ball can come out quicker, which gives guys like, the defensive lineman less time to get to the ball. And so being that our passing offense passing defense, everybody knew from that time was terrible, then the one thing you can say is that the Mario Williams had the benefit of playing with some guys. I don't know if you've heard of these guys before, like Stephen Tulloch, a 4th-round draft pick, DeMario Presley, a 5th-round draft pick, Manny Lawson, 1st-round draft pick, Marcus Hudson, 6th-round draft pick, Dewan Morgan, 3rd-round draft pick, and AJ Davis, 4th-round draft pick. Do you want to talk about the starting lineup for NC State? Jair Fernandez, Arias Moore, Jack Tocho, Mike Stevens, Josh Jones, Sean Boone. Were any of those guys drafted? Nope. None of those guys drafted. So I would say the biggest thing that is, can be a benefit from Mario is that he had guys to hold down the fort. And on top of that, too, you could also play away from Chubb in this defense because you didn't have the dogs that Mario Williams had around him that you had to focus on along with Mario Williams.
Greg.
So there.
Yeah, Greg.
So you're penalizing Mario for having a better defense, but the fact that he broke all those records on his own.
Well, because again, the only other guy on the defensive line that he really had to compete with was DeMario Presley in terms of defensive line wise.
Yeah, Greg.
Obviously, pass line wise, he only had so many guys to compete with. While Chubb had to compete with 3
Greg,
NFL defensive linemen who are still competing in the NFL to this day.
I don't know. I'm not picking a side. I guess I am picking a side right now, but I don't care.
And on top of it, just to kind of just to wrap my Bradley Chubb up, and then Greg, I'll let you finish the last one since age before beauty. Is Bradley Chubb also won the Bronco Nagurski Award, given to the best defensive player in college football, and the Ted Hendricks Award, given to the top defensive end.
Greg.
In college football.
It needs to be like one of those audio clips where just Greg,
yeah, correct. And he was also unanimous All-American. Mario Williams wasn't unanimous. So
yeah, but see, to me,
that's my last one.
I just my thought on both. Mario paved the way, right? He was the first to do it. He was the number 1 pick, first one. I don't know who was the last number 1 pick. Was it Jameis?
Yeah, Jameis.
So
Yes.
it took.
Oh,
them,
wait. Trevor. Did Trevor go number 1 overall?
Yes, but
I mean,
Mario's last defense
right
was
after.
number 1.
Right after, so it was Mario, and then Jameis was the next in line, right?
Yeah.
So it took what was that? 14 years. I think it was a 2013 draft, 2014 draft, maybe 15 years.
Accurate. Yeah.
Or no. Mario was not 99. What year was Mario?
06?
It was
okay.
06.
So he was.
Yeah.
Wow,
6, 7 years.
I don't know why I thought 99. I think I was thinking, was Torrey Holt 99?
No, Torrey Holt's 99.
Okay, yeah, that's why I thought of that. So he was like, it took a few years for that to happen again, and I don't know. To me, Bradley Chubb won all the awards, but Mario Williams was the number 1 draft pick, and he did in 3 years. He still broke the records. I don't know. I think it's interesting. To me, the greatest has to be, in my opinion,
It's tough. I mean, Michelle says it right here. Saying they're both great.
Yeah, I really think that Chubb has more of the stats, but
he's got some of the accolades.
He's got the records and the awards and all that. Even though he wasn't number 1, he was number 5. Was he the first defensive player that year, or
Denzel Ward? But who's Denzel Ward? Yeah. So
I don't know.
Yeah, but you can. I mean, so in fairness, let's take the gloves off. Like, obviously, draft picks are subjective based on team needs, right? So
correct.
Leighton.
No, no, that's an argument against me. That's the point.
Golly, Leighton. Come on.
I would be curious. I didn't get to see who actually won some of the same awards that you mentioned with regards to Mario. Like, who won that award over him? Like, what were his stats? And I have jokingly said it's a beauty pageant, because it kind of is. I mean, it's subjective based off of writers and so on and so forth, and media campaigns, and it's not always necessarily the best deserving person that gets those awards, as we've seen time and time again. But that's not to take away what Bradley did. I mean, it's still a major accomplishment. Real quick, you mentioned what Chubb did. Mario was a all ACC 2004 first team and 2005 first team. He was a freshman All-American by a lot of different publications. And then 2005, he was first team All-American Sports Illustrated, and Walter Camp second team All-American. And he was the 2005 team MVP for NC State. So
sure. Well, heck yeah.
yeah, right.
No, again, I like the line between the two is so finite. It really is. Like, you really can't go wrong either way. Interesting here. Locked On Wolfpack joining us here. I appreciate Locked On joining us here. Single season accomplishments, Mario gets theirs, but overall impact on the program, I lead Chubb. I think Chubb's play elevated the program, recruiting, brand, on-field success, etc.
Right.
I'd agree with that. Yep. And I would make a little bit of an argument on single season accomplishments, just because he had the 2 awards, which obviously is pretty spectacular in terms of single season accomplishments. But I mean, I get what you're saying though. Mario still has a single season record with 13.5 sacks and things like that. So completely get that.
14 and
so
a half.
With that being said, sorry, 14.5. Sorry about that. But yeah, let us know in the comments, y'all. Would love to hear more and more thoughts in terms of what you think. If you lean Mario or Chubb, I would give you a clue. There's no wrong answer.
This ends the argument right here.
Yeah, no, Chubb is also Lamar Jackson's daddy. That's right.
You win the argument.
That's right.
I'm out.
Nah. So, but with that being said, though, I want to kind of get on over here first and foremost to some tweets of the week, because we got a big tweet of the week to get to here first and foremost. So let's jump right into it. Boom, baby. The red light is on today, y'all, with the commitment of Robbie Martin, the number 1 offensive lineman in West Virginia, 3/4-star offensive lineman from Huntington, West Virginia. Huge get here to start off the week, and a huge week here to come with Jonathan Paylor and Terrell Anderson coming up on Friday. And it was just actually discovered today that they're actually going to both be committing on Friday, which I think is interesting, especially with, I think Alex Taylor going to UNC and all those guys are buds. I think I mean, I think that there's no way they haven't talked about the interesting factor. What if I go to UNC and you guys go to NC State? Like, I mean, that'd be a war for at least 3 years. You know,
so let me
awesome.
give a correction. One thing you said. So,
please.
It is Terrell Anderson just announced he is committing on August 12th, not this Friday.
Yeah.
I think you're getting confused. I think you're getting confused with another recruit. That's a defensive end. Joshua Alexander Felton. He is committing also on Friday. So you've got Raleigh Martin who committed today. Maybe early this week, there's another not even a 2024 guy, 2025 guy that could commit. What the news are there, so keep your eyes out there. I won't kind of
Gus Ritchie, the tight end, right?
Gus Ritchie, I think he mentioned at Apple if he could be committing this week actually. But then Paylor and Alexander Felton are both on Friday, one at 6 and one at 6:45 p.m. And then Anderson is the 12th August 12th at 4 o'clock, I think. I just written all this out, so So to me, this I was thinking about how like the guards, the offensive line has played lately in the last few games, and what we need. I mean, it's not as clear cut. I know you're probably your best offensive linemen are McMahon and Belton, maybe. Is Eason on the roster?
McKay. Yeah.
I think McKay's got a good chance.
That's probably true. McKay, they're your best three, but I don't know if either of any of those guys are your guards. And so I think McMahon's your center. Belton and McKay are probably your tackles. Who's your guard? I don't know at this point. Maybe
could be the kid from Oregon.
Yaramillo, Oregon, and I don't know who the other guy would be, but I think there's a lot of opportunity for a guard in particular to come in and play relatively early. I mean, he's got to get right in the weight room with Thunder Dan, but I think this is a guy that's a really good get. State was very high on him very early on, and they stayed high on him. They beat out West Virginia, was where he's from. That was his main school. I'm trying to think. He had a lot of really good offers. I know a lot of these guys State has been targeting. There's not as many. It's not really the 5-star guys. I think State is kind of keeping it relative to where they feel like they can go and maximize their potential. But State has proven they're really good at identifying talent and developing it. And I think this guy's going to be somebody, in like 2 or 3 years from now. I think maybe in 3 years, I think he's going to be a guy on the line. You're like, he's a really good player for State. And I don't know how good he'll be, but if you look at his size there at 6'4", some places I saw 6'5". That's a big dude to be a guard. That's got some NFL size there. If he can you get some potential there and play a little nasty streak. So I like this get a lot for State.
Yeah.
So this is our second kid out of West Virginia, with Cannon Lewis being the first recruit. So this is our double dip into West Virginia, and then I kind of liken this as the opening up a present before Christmas Day, because tomorrow is the training camp. So I feel like we got a little present tonight to keep us tided over. The other thing I wanted to say, and I know it's the guy that's committing on Friday, Felton. Is that his last name? Did I get it right?
Yeah, Alexander Felton.
If that dude does not commit, that is the all-time. I mean, did you see his picture from his Twitter? He had like the State baseball jacket on. He had so much State gear on, and he had the diamond.
The diamond, diamond helmets.
Whew. Yeah. I mean, that dude looked like he was all in.
Yeah. Let's talk about that for a minute, because has anybody else thought the red helmet looked really sweet? I like the red Diamond S logo helmet compared to the white one. They're both good, but that red one was kind of like that's a bad mamma jamma.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, no, and go ahead, Michael.
I was gonna say I really like. He's not only the number one offensive lineman in West Virginia, I think he's technically the number one player out of West Virginia in this recruiting class. I mean, granted, it's West Virginia, so there's not as much, but that's still pretty good to go into a state that's not yours and get the number one player.
That's right, Michael.
And another thing, which I'll add,
I was just saying it still counts.
Oh yeah.
But 2 other things which I'll add is, I mean, I think it's definitely a smart move for him. obviously hindsight, but just because of the fact that West Virginia with Neil Brown, I mean, he's definitely going into a hot seat year for sure. And I mean, unless he pulls off something miraculous, they're probably gonna have a new coach next season. So definitely don't want to deal with that. But I know being a homegrown guy, there's a lot of pressure to be that hometown hero guy, which makes 100% sense. But also too, I think as well with seeing what Coach 2J has done. I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he's a guy that connects with his players. He's a young buck just like them, and seeing him do the the Superman punches along with the recruits is awesome. So I love it. So yeah, no, excited to see what he can do. And another thing which I want to add is talking about Jonathan Paylor is he's a guy that a few weeks ago seemed to be all South Carolina, and then slowly but surely State kind of pulled him back. And because I know there's been a lot of people saying man, State's recruiting sucks, man, like we can't get nobody. But I mean, I think that if we can finish the job and get Paylor, I think that's a huge victory for Doran's book and then this coaching staff's book if he could pull that off. And I mean, everything that we saw him do, and like I know Steve Williams publicly was giving him the coaching staff props that they were running like some of the plays that Anai will run this season just to kind of show Paylor like this is the kind of plays this is how we see you being used when you're here as a part of this offense. Like that's a great smart coaching move and smart recruiting move for a guy that maybe has a lot of questions in terms of what's the offense going to look like when I come here. What I mean? So love to see it and excited to see what happens later this week. So speaking of Paylor, I'm sure people saw his Alpha Wolf videos that they were putting out there. Did anyone see Coach Anai playing center? Yes, I love it. Yeah, that was great. I mean, obviously he was a center in college, so that wasn't too far of a stretch, but I like it. You got a 60-plus-year-old man down there, snapping to a quarterback for drills. I mean, that just shows you the level of what these coaches are willing to do to get these recruits to get on campus and get them locked up. Yep. Now to kind of move this thing along, we still got a couple things to get to here. First of all, got to give a shout out to Cameron Nance here saying they should wear the diamond logo helmet for the home opener against Notre Dame for two reasons. One, to honor Coach Dick Sheridan. Two, because we won in those last time we played Notre Dame at home. It's a good point. I'm all for it. Let's make it happen. All right. So uniforms laying around somewhere. Yeah, right. I know, no kidding. So, want to kind of just spend like a minute or two talking about this huge rumor going on here within the sports world, talking about the rumors of Florida State and Clemson, potentially looking at leaving the ACC and potentially that they're going to be offered the opportunity to pay in 10 installments, $300 million they owe, so which would be $30 million a year. And I mean, to me, I think that, I was kind of listening to Josh Pate, for anybody who follows college football, I mean, about Josh Pate. And, he made some good points about how, major conference realignment is kind of not really, more likely not going to happen anytime soon. Now next season we'll follow up, but I just have a hard time believing that they're going to give FSU and Clemson and anybody and they see an opportunity to say, well, if you pay us $30 million over 10 years, then we'll let you leave, because then that's, okay, well, that's easy because I can easily go to SEC or the Big Ten and make twice as much and easily pay that off and still make a good bit in order for us to move somewhere else. I don't know. I don't really necessarily believe that, but any thoughts from your side?
Wow. So the thing is with this $30 million a year supposed deal, negotiated buyout thing, the ACC would still own Florida State's media rights. So where are they getting $30 million a year to then pay the ACC? It just doesn't make sense.
That's a good point. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, these are all just rumors. I'm not really taking too much into it, but we had a lot of people asking about, our thoughts, things like that. I would say that for 2023, 2024, you're going to see Florida State and ACC wearing an ACC patch on their jerseys. And then, for next offseason, we'll take a look at it then. But I don't think anything's going to happen until then.
Yeah. So. The only way that Florida State leaves the ACC is if 7 other ACC teams go with them, which would be included in that.
I think that whole thing was just talk and speculation. I don't know how many of these people actually know. Right. I mean, it's to me, it's almost like they want to leave, so does everybody else. So I mean,
sure.
It's like, but shocking news. Like they want to get out of the ACC. I'm like, well, I'm sure they are doing things behind the scenes.
Yeah.
I bet you State is kind of thing. So,
well, yeah, I mean, it's already been, with the whole Magnificent Seven, the talks have been out there. The problem is you're not leaving until you have a landing spot, right? And so until you're guaranteed that you're going to be able to drop into another conference and that you have 7 partners to go with you, you're not making the leap on your own more than likely. It's just financial suicide, if you ask me.
Yeah, there's just not.
You're not making enough money on the back end to justify it, especially in today's landscape.
If it was just like the $100 million or $120 million exit fee that number's been thrown around, fine, because you can make that up in 2 years playing. But it's the media rights. That's the issue. You're locked into the grant of rights.
Right. That's right. That beautiful document, the grant of rights. Yeah.
But with that being said, though, the ACC, I mean, they're teetering on life support. It seems like
it's a matter of time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's not if, right?
Now, well, it won't die. It just won't be what I think it's not going to be what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, so that's the question, right?
Big East didn't die. Big East didn't die. All those kind of.
Well, I mean, the Big East is really in name only. They're not a football school anymore. They're basketball, and it's not even that great of a basketball conference. It's just all the Catholic schools decided that they wanted to keep playing each other.
Yeah.
But the question is the ACC expand or do they dissolve into other conferences, right? So that's really where it's going to happen. You're still going to have some of the rivalries, hopefully, that they'll continue those traditions. I did see an interesting thing today about Utah because the Pac-12 is in complete shambles. I saw a really funny tweet that they were announcing the media deal and it was going to the Hallmark Channel. I thought that was a pretty funny tweet over the weekend.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, but
please tell me that is a tweet of the week, right?
No, we should have just done it as grins. But rumor has it that Utah, like the Big 12 was after Utah, but Utah is not so sure about it because BYU is doing it and they didn't want to follow in BYU's footsteps. And I'm like, why would you not? But
right.
I would be interested.
I don't think they have a choice, so they can't stay in Pac-12 now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't know.
If the Big 12 will take them, I think it's going to be Big 12 for Arizona State, and Utah.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Just so everybody knows, Macon and I are in a fantasy football league, and during the show, Macon's sending me trade offers. Okay? Hey, Macon, we're in the middle of a live show, dude.
I'm sorry. That's so funny.
Fantasy never sleeps.
Oh, man.
I was thinking to be like, hey, your audio
breaking news or something.
Breaking news, but no. Hey, what do you think?
Lane's on the pick, and I'm like, all right, man, here's a trade. I'm going to send you this offer, and Lane's like, you need drugs. Sorry.
Oh man. Anyway. All right. So for this next tweet of the week, it's not a tweet of the week, but it's more of something that for me I'm highlighting because unfortunately last week I was not able to be on the live show and address this. So I wanted to address this myself here on the show. Cliff Godwin tweeting out, no one person will ever be bigger than our program. Go Pirates. And I just want to say one thing that obviously myself and others came out on this tweet and said, don't like this look. This is not a good look for a head coach of a baseball career, especially somebody who myself, I've always had a lot of respect for Coach Godwin, in terms of, how he ran his program. He's done great things at ECU. Hats off to him. And everybody's saying, well, he didn't, because obviously they're talking, this whole thing is surrounded by the news of Alec Mack, former ECU infielder transferring to NC State. And a lot of ECU fans commented on my tweet basically saying, well, he didn't use names. Like, what are you talking about? Like, he didn't call the guy up by name. And
he quacks like a duck, smells like a duck, and walks like a duck. It's probably a duck.
I'm saying he tweeted this right after the news was broken. Alex Mack was committing, and I do ask you, ECU fans, that if I ask you, if we're standing in a kitchen, and I say to you, "Hey, can you hand me that curved yellow fruit?" I don't need to say, can you hand me that banana?
Mango.
Banana. Mango. Oh yeah, bango. like I'm just like it's so clear as day. And there was even a UCU fan that admitted, yeah, he's probably talking about Alec Mack, but he didn't say Alec Mack. I'm like, well, again, it's like, come on. So and the craziest part is this tweet is still on his Twitter page, which I'm like, where's the SUID being like, hey, take that down? Like, come on. Like,
so my counter to that, Leighton, was that was he talking directly to the player, or was he talking to the fans who were making a big huff about him leaving? And so if you're talking to the fans saying that one player does not define us, that's a little different than calling the player himself out. But you shouldn't leave the ambiguity in there regardless.
But I mean, like, for example, I mean, two things. First of all, the Clemson head baseball coach, when their top, player left to go to the transfer portal, he didn't tweet out something to the fans. But also, too, because this is a guy, Alec Mack, that was towards the bottom of the depth, that was, towards the bottom of the batting lineup. It's not like there was their star player that transferred in state. It was just a guy that transferred to a rival program. So, like, for anybody who's worried, like, who was upset for ECU, it was just because he transferred to a rival school. It wasn't because it was a superstar loss. So it's not like it's a backbreaker for ECU. So I just didn't feel the need whatsoever to tweet this out, in the moment. But, anyway.
No, I agree.
So, yeah, no, but I appreciate it. Hey, Devil's Advocate, I appreciate it. So anyway, though, and then our last tweet of the week here, got to give a huge shout out here, is a lot of people during this offseason when the news came out about Cannon Peebles transferring to Tennessee was like, what? Why would we let him leave? Like, we need him. We need that guy. And we always said, well, you got Jacob Cozart, still playing for at least one more year. And now he has already gotten listed in the way too early 2024 MLB rankings. Again, way too early. As already, though, as the 5th overall draft pick, which is crazy high. I mean, that is an elite stance if he could get drafted anywhere close to that. That's borderline. Like, I think Rodon got drafted 3rd overall. I think Trey got drafted like 10th overall. But either way, the point being is that you got one heck of a catcher behind the plate heading into 2023, 2024. So again, huge hats off to Jacob Cozart. And again, I'm saying Cozart, go prove the boys wrong. Have a huge year and show that, hey, good for Cam Peebles. Appreciate all you've done, my man. But we're fine. We're not hurting. But anyway, Greg, anything? Michael, make anything to add to that?
No, I think it's going to be pretty interesting to see that. 5 is high, man. I mean, like, is that higher than where Trey Turner and Rodon went? Rodon, what did they like? They went like
Rodon
8 or 9,
went 3.
Yeah,
Turner was 8 or 9.
8 or 9. Yeah, I was thinking 9. That was what.
Who's the last player for state? Probably those two guys who get drafted that high.
Yeah, for sure.
I did not think of Cozart in that same vein of like elite talent we've had. I just don't. I'm not saying he's saying he's bad. I'm like, you're putting him in that category from a talent standpoint.
Yeah, I mean he's plus defender plus hitter. There's no doubt about that. He did a really great job of throwing runners out. He does need to work a little bit on the receiving of the ball a little bit. He's still, again, to me personally, I thought he was kind of mentally fatigued and maybe even physically fatigued towards the end of the season, having caught all those innings. But the potential is there. I mean, he's an outstanding hitter, and his hitting really he doesn't get enough credit for his hitting, to be honest with you.
Agreed.
So,
yeah. All right, y'all. So Michael, anything to add? Sorry.
Well, I was just surprised to see him that high. I mean, I figured he would be, top 3-5 rounds, not top 5 overall. But all the projections between that one and I think D1 Baseball put one out that had him, first round for sure.
So that also puts him in talk of ACC potential player of the year. Like, there's other accolades that go with that status.
Right.
But the ACC is going to be loaded again next year.
But this was only a sophomore year, so he's going to his 3rd year, so
it's going to his draft year.
It makes sense.
Yeah, agreed. All right, y'all. So with that being said, we're going to bring back a segment that we have been dying to bring back. But guess what? You guys have put in enough of these questions, so we're finally going to bring it back with our Tuffy's mailbag. Let's jump on over, y'all. Ooh, it feels good to finally bring that graphic back once again. Our first question here in the Tuffy's mailbag: is Keats still on the hot seat? So, AKA Macon, is there a way that Keys can get fired after the season, in your opinion?
A way? Oh, there's a way. There's a
way, there's
right?
always a way. There's always a way.
Borderline, like obviously, if unless
reasonably,
reasonably.
Yeah,
reasonably.
So let's characterize that. I think, or let me say it this way: what I think it would take to get Keats fired. One, he doesn't make the NCAA tournament. He goes sub 500 in the league, and probably for the schedule has to go sub 500. And
knocked out of the first round, the AC tournament, maybe like just not even competitive.
It's got to be a complete.
Yeah. So if he's going 500, he's probably losing some games to I mean
BC.
He's probably losing some to Clemson again. He's losing. Yeah, I think if he was to get fired at this point, you're probably something like that. Maybe he lose. Maybe he's like something like 1-3 on like a ratio for the ACC play. Like he's like winning on the third ACC games. I think that would probably get in the question of is he getting fired. I think he did a lot last season because honestly, I think he saw he had to do what he had to do. He totally revamped his coaching staff, cleaned house. He had a complete turnover on his talent other than Terquavian Smith, and brought in really, the best players on your team last year, in my opinion, were all transfers. You had Morcell, you had Burns, you had Joyner, and you had Clark. Clark, when he was healthy, was one of your better players on your team. So, I think he did enough of what he had to do. He made it to the AC tournament, the NCAA tournament. We beat Virginia Tech in the AC tournament, I think is what it was.
Yeah,
and we lost to Duke.
Clemson again.
Yeah, Clemson had a number. Yeah, I think he's got to go sub 500 in the ACC play, probably sub 500 for the season for him to get fired. The odds of that happening, I think, are about 20%, 15%, somewhere in there.
I honestly think the only way Keats' seat is hot is if he sits on a park bench next to the bell tower tomorrow at noon.
And the other part of it is though, like he's got a huge contract still, right?
Yes, that was the point I was going to make.
Like $10 million, I think, at this point.
Yeah, he just signed an extension last year because of all the NCAA stuff.
So it's higher, probably higher than that. I think it's like he's got 5 or 6 years left in his contract.
Yeah, I think at least 5.
So 2027, I think.
Oh, so 4 then.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, big contract, relatively speaking, and it's a lot to pay out.
Yeah, and making everything you just said, I just don't see it happening this year with the way with the talent he's brought in. Unless this team just completely does not mesh, I don't. I mean, yeah, we're gonna probably have the typical bad state loss somewhere along the season. But if he makes the tournament again, he's got to win at some point, right? And I think that's the key. If he makes it to the tournament and doesn't win next year, I would say he would be on the hot seat. But other than that, I think he's secure for at least another year or so.
Which is funny. I got to bring up Michelle's comments here saying until he wins the conference tourney and consistently competes in the NCAA tourney, many will say he's on the hot seat. I'm sitting here saying, dude, the first I put out a bounty that the first coach between football, men's basketball, and baseball to win AC championship gets a lifetime contract. Whichever one gets to it first, lifetime contract.
So who is it going to be? Who's the first to win the AC title between?
I hope it's baseball.
I hope it's baseball. No, who do you think it's going to be?
I keep saying every year it's easier to win in basketball, and I'm sticking.
I think basketball has the best chance this year. Honestly,
I do too.
I would agree.
Maybe baseball. The pitching is going to be crazy for baseball. So,
but I come back to let's say the offense clicks with football too. I mean
that too.
If somebody else, if any other fan base was listening, we talk right now, they'd be like, "You are a typical state fan.
You're a homer. You're a homer,
like, dude. This is not happening." But if the offense clicks, state can be dangerous. Now I don't know if this is going to happen or not, but I think it's more likely than not that it clicks.
So
I'm for football, I'm not on is the offense gonna work or not? I'm pretty certain it's gonna be good, good offense.
Can I say the kind of real quick? Because I haven't told a ton, is that let's say what's the guy's name? Brennan Armstrong. You know, he had his record year, so to speak, amazing year 2 years ago with Renai, but he had like 4,400 passing yards. I can't remember how many rushing yards he had, but I think he had
like
40 touchdowns total. I think he had 31 passing and 9 rushing, I think is what the number was. Let's just say he has Devin Leary stats. Let's say he throws for 35. He has 3,500 total yards. He has 35 touchdowns.
AC champions.
Who's beating that? I mean, if State's doing that with that, you know, they could be 9-3.
Yeah,
maybe 10-2 if things go right.
My only concern for the offense is how soon is it going to click? Right. I don't think it's a matter of if it's going to click, it's when it's going to click. So how soon are they going to be able to pick it up and run with it? Obviously, you're
going to be soon.
I agree, Macon. I think if we brought in a couple transfers at the wide receiver. I'm still concerned about offensive line depth. If you have an injury or so, that's what worries me. So the protection, will it hold up in order for the offense to click?
Yep. All right, y'all. So I'm going to pause right there because we'd have more Tuffy mailbag questions with you with football. So we'll talk more about that here soon. But next question is, what are the expectations for Keats and Co. in 2020 and 2024? Which, I mean, obviously probably some of the conversations we had kind of go into this. But, I mean, for me, I'm sitting here saying that, I mean, I think competing in the top 5 or 6 in the ACC, is well within reason, well within possibilities with the talent that we have, and comparing it to what else is going on with the ACC. I think that, making the tournament should be like, that's just like a byproduct. And I think tournament wise, I think we need to be at least in the semifinals, really making a run at ACC tournament conference championship. So
you're
that's
saying
really my
semifinals, though. Semifinals, you're a top 4 team in the ACC.
I think
it's top 4 team in the ACC.
Yep,
I think it's well within reason. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not saying it's out of the. I just want to make sure it's clear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like the context, you were saying they are the top 4 team in the ACC. Then maybe they upset somebody, But I'd agree. Sorry, I'd agree with that. I think there needs to be a win semifinals ACC. Win at least one game in the NCAA tournament. You got to see progress, right? That's the goal there. And this team, to me, comes across as too good. This team comes across to me as better than last year.
Oh,
I think it'll be more consistent than last year. That's my thought.
Right. Well, and again, imagine if Cam Woods gets his waiver. Imagine, man. I mean, like he can be a key piece. If the guys are down, but we'll see.
How many guys do you think State would rotate? Because a lot of coaches like going to like 7 guys.
Well, they want to go more than 7. I think they want to go 8 or 9. To be honest,
I know Godfrey went with 7 a lot.
Yeah, but if Keats really wants to run his system, he's going to need 8 to 9 guys
because he needs those guys to keep energized, stay fresh.
Correct.
Yeah.
Keep fresh. Yep.
So then, who's running the bench? You're talking about probably Duana, Pass.
Duana's gone.
Maybe Diarra, maybe a little bit. Probably riding the bench more than
Ross.
I think it's gonna be Ross.
All guys who were here last year.
Yeah. Which I mean is kind of encouraging, I guess, because if you say that means that he's gone out and upgraded those positions.
Yeah.
Right. So anyway, but yeah, so I did miss one comment from the previous conversation talking about which coach do we want to win it all, and Michelle says Avon deserves it the most with his tenure. However, basketball may be the easiest road. I would love Doran to win the tourney, aka the ACC championship.
That'd be cool.
Yeah,
you won that basketball tournament.
If Doran won the ACC tournament, he should go down the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. And then Benjamin saying, just think about Reisner, Timmons, and Lassane, 3 big targets. I expect them to have big year. You didn't even mention Julian Gray, which we'll talk about.
Anthony Smith. I mean, there's still more names. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Infinite Hate, bringing in a little bit of love for cross country men's swimming, saying instead of talking football, men's basketball, and baseball, I focused on teams such as cross country and women's swimming that are winning championships. And I would definitely say not to focus on football, men's basketball, baseball, but that more fans should focus on these other sports that are doing great things like wrestling even too.
I just think that we're just talking about like the big sports that like the ones that are maybe your revenue sports. You want to go to that, although baseball is not a revenue sport.
Well, not only that, the question was, which of those three sports would we like to see a tournament or a champion first? So
yeah,
I mean
you're right. All those schools, we definitely highlighted how well the other programs are doing. I was just talking, we were talking specifically about those three, and I don't know. I think it'd be interesting.
Yeah, agreed. All right, now our next Tuffy's mailbag question here: will Trey Parker join Isaiah Miranda and Keith's list of none and dones?
And Trey Parker? Yeah, no. Trey Parker. Trey
Parker, the one who decided to go back to overtime elite for a year.
Question.
Well, at least Miranda was actually on the roster. Like, he actually showed up. It was like the other guys never showed up, but I don't know.
I mean, he could, but like,
yeah,
just go get somebody else from the portal. It doesn't really matter. I don't really care about the none and dones. I think that happens at a lot of schools, and I don't know. People seem to think it's Keats is like it only happens to Keats, and like in the transfer portal era, I mean, that's just one more scholarship you can go to get a proven guy. So I'm not
to your
worried about it if it does happen.
To your point, Michael, those none and dones, they didn't like go to another school other than Miranda. They went to the draft. I mean, it's a little different when you decide to forego the college route and go the professional route.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I would say about Miranda, I mean, he was on the roster for half of the season, and if he was ready to play, I'm sure Keats would have played him. I mean, he's not going to play. Yeah. He's not going to not play guys. I mean, that's silly. So
yeah.
Well, I think go ahead, Michael.
Sorry, the two like original ones were Josh Hall and Jalen LeCue, and that was before NAL. So that's you're asking Keats to recruit against millions of dollars at that point from the NBA. It's like, okay, how can you blame a kid for taking that? And how could Keats do anything to stop it, really?
Right.
Now, the thing which I will add is, once again, I think somebody made a point that about Isaiah Miranda being like, Kevin Keats watched Isaiah Miranda in practice for like 5 or 6 months and still went after Muhammad Diarra in the transfer portal. So that should say something. But also to Trey Parker, I mean, anybody who thinks for half a second, it makes 100% sense for him to go back to overtime elite, because unfortunately, if he comes to state, we just don't have a lot of room. He's maybe going to get 2 or 3 minutes if he's lucky. I mean, he's going to get garbage time minutes, and instead he can go back to overtime elite, make a lot of money at overtime elite, because he can make money as a high school NIL, and he can get a lot of playing time and develop.
Yep.
And the last thing which I'll add, and Michael, I'll let you have the last comment here on this mailbag, is like you'll see a lot of times, guys saying, don't worry, y'all, I'm coming back. And, of course, it's like, okay, well, you say that now, but things could change. But the other thing which I'll add is that there was a fan that actually, I still remember to this day, a tweet out saying, I hope he gets to campus. And Trey Parker literally went out of his way to comment on that tweet saying, I will be at NC State. Yeah. I mean, so it's one thing just to tweet it, but for him to go out of his way and actually comment on somebody saying, I'm coming to state. That's a little bit of a higher level in my point. Now, is it still locked in stone? No.
A lot can change between now and then. A lot can change.
But that definitely is another level. You know what I mean? Yeah. For him to go out of his way, this comment saying, no, I'm coming to state. So
yeah. If he does come, then it works out even better, because he's another year older and supposedly probably be more developed and ready to play.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Agreed. All right, so let's switch on over some football here, y'all. Do we listen to the fan base and start MJ this year, or go with the coach's choice in Brandon Armstrong? There are still so many people on the MJ hype train. I'm telling you, again.
Well, yeah. Just the way the question is phrased is funny. Like we're gonna make
the coaches are gonna
yeah.
What do we do? Yeah. No. Again, y'all. The biggest thing I'll say, well, and I will say that we had the opportunity to interview and talk with Philip Danfer from Inside Pack Sports, and that episode will be coming out here in a few weeks. But we did discussing this, and oh my God, Michelle's comment: are we still discussing this?
Unfortunately, yes.
We unfortunately are still discussing this.
As soon as he has one bad game,
right?
The
Boo Birds will be out, and they'll be chanting MJ. I mean, it's what they do. I mean,
but again, just to kind of compare a little bit here. MJ is 19 years old, y'all. He's still fresh, man. He's still fresh as can be in terms of college athlete. Brandon Armstrong is 25. MJ's played in 5 games, started in 3. All 3 of those starts were at home. Brandon Armstrong has played over 35 games in the ACC alone. Yeah. He's also thrown for over 4,400 yards in one season against some of the top defenses in the country. MJ, just
in the
hasn't
current
had that,
OC's offense.
Can I say this too?
Correct.
Honestly, this kind of stuff, if MJ commits to being he is committed to being like the second string quarterback right now. I mean, for me personally, that's like a character thing that I really think is pretty cool, and it makes me it endears me to the guy when he has an opportunity to potentially play this year or even like next year if he has it again. Hey, another opportunity to have the starting job. And honestly, State's going to bring in at that point. They'll have bring in him. They'll have then Will Wilson,
Cedric Bailey.
Cedric Bailey. Excuse me, Will Wilson's future. So it'll be Cedric Bailey, who's not he's not going to be ready, in my opinion. No. And MJ, to me, State I think should probably go get another quarterback in the transfer portal, like any good competitive team should, in my opinion. But it endears me.
Unless Lex Thomas takes a step.
I forgot about
maybe Lex Thomas takes a step.
It's to me though, it's MJ or somebody in the portal. It's somebody else. It's not on the team that's quarterback next year. And I this kind of stuff to me now endears me for MJ when he gets the opportunity next. I think fans will love him for that, because he stayed with State. He committed to State, and I think that'll make the fans go behind him. But for right now, this year, I mean, think about it this way. Brennan Armstrong already knows the offense from 2 years ago. The quickest route to success this year is going with Brennan because he can help everybody else learn the offense and speak it to them at player's level. Like, this is what you need to do. You do this, you do that. Like, I'm telling you, I've lived and breathed this for 5 years. And so that's what I would do. I don't think I think it would be foolish, in my opinion, to go to MJ, who has to learn the offense and not go with the guy who threw – and not go with the guy who threw for 4,400 yards, had 40 touchdowns, ran for 9 of them. He did it in ACC play. To me, it's not even a discussion.
I can end this conversation real quick with MJ Morris's tweet today. He tweeted locked in and focused. He's not worried about it. He's going to go out and do his job. If he's called upon, he's going to be ready to rock and roll. Obviously, the goal is to redshirt him, but if they got to burn it, they're going to burn it because they're going to want to go out and win ball games. Yeah. I mean, they're not going to not play him just to say, well, we really want to have him in 2 years. No, you go out and win ball games.
Well, somebody brought that up, being that if Brennan for some reason gets his helmet knocked off and has to come out of the game, who do you put in for that one play?
MJ Morris.
Lex Thomas.
No, you put in MJ Morris.
MJ.
Well, but again, if you can only play in 4 games and not burn your red shirt,
but the whole point is to win, right? And my thing is, if he gives you your best chance to win, and that's the objective.
I mean, I guess it's time and I guess it's time and play.
Oh,
it's time and place.
Play?
Yeah,
if time and
play.
Yeah.
If Brennan Armstrong gets his helmet knocked off.
No, but it's time and place. If that next play is a crucial 4th and 1 or
something. Yeah.
So you're probably going to go and put him in, right? So everything dictates. But you're right. You're probably bringing Lex Thomas if it's the first quarter or if you're playing VMI.
You know what? Some fans who don't know any better can be like, boo. It's going to be like
third string. MJ.
That's a great point you made, though, Greg, right there. Whoever made that point, thanks. Great.
And I think this discussion is completely different if Robert and I isn't the OC. If it's a brand new OC to both of them and they're both learning the offense, it's probably a little more equal. But just with the fact that he has so much experience in the system, it's kind of a no-brainer.
One thing is, though, even if it wasn't, so let's say it was, Tim Beck again, right? I mean, the dude threw. Yeah. Okay, let's say it's Drinkwitz. Let's say that it's or somebody that's not even.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
Okay, let's say it's Drinkwitz. Like the fact that this dude threw for 4,400 yards and 40 touchdowns in the ACC. I've seen him do that.
Yeah.
I have not seen MJ do this. He did it for a whole season, and I think, if I'm not mistaken, that stat line was 1 or 2 games.
11 games.
12.
Yeah. I think it was 10 or 11.
He did it 1 game less than Devin Leary had, and he threw for almost 1,000 yards, or had 1,000 more yards than Devin Leary did. Really, I mean, it's pretty one-sided if you're asking me.
It is.
And just to clarify, Macon didn't say can't. He just said hasn't. MJ hasn't thrown for that much.
Right. I've seen him do this. I've seen him do that. It was but I think we had this discussion with Devin Leary and MJ last time around. It was I've seen Devin Leary throw for 3,500, 35 touchdowns or interceptions. To me, it's not a debate of MJ versus Devin Leary, and Devin ended up leaving. It's the same. Okay, insert Brennan. It's the same thing. I've seen Brennan Armstrong throw for this in the exact same system he went playing in.
Right.
Why would I go any other route right now?
Yeah, the potential that MJ shows. I mean, he led you back from probably one of the top 6 or 7 comebacks of all time in NC State football, right? With that Virginia Tech game, first game ever on a Thursday night, like prime time. Like he just turned it on and had that it factor, and he had that it factor for most of all of his appearances, albeit in a small sample size. So you at the end of the day, and making, you said it 100 times, I want the best players that give me the best chance to win. I don't care who they are. And I
if it hurts your feelings, it hurts your feelings, right? I don't like that, but like, you're here to win. The whole point is to win, right?
It's not personal, it's business.
Right.
At this point, it's business, which it sucks, but unfortunately, it just is what it is. You know, we want to be loyal to MJ, but we also
if it's Thomas,
right.
Put Lex Thomas in. I do not care. I want to win, right?
Yeah.
If it's country, Terry Callaway, the equipment manager,
exactly.
I don't care. No. Yeah, no.
If it's Michael, put Michael in. Okay, just do it. Okay.
Yeah.
We're done.
We're screwed.
But this kind of leads into this one next question, talking about Brian Armstrong, saying, is it almost a great thing that Armstrong is coming off such a bad season and will play with a massive chip on his shoulder with a lot to prove? I say 100%. Absolutely. No doubt about it. I mean, again, he's going into a year, a make or break year. If he wants to be, you know, that first round draft pick, which before last season he was projected to be, he has to have a big year. Like, you know, he needs to go all out. You know, he's back once again with an eye. He has arguably the best weapons he's ever had, and even during his time at UVA, arguably.
Yeah.
And so I mean, he's ready for success, and he's going to get some really good defenses. He'll have a lot of national, time, like starting off with the Notre Dame game. So, you know, he'll be noticed. So, go ahead.
My thing is, I actually don't know. I mean, can it be a good thing? Could it be? Yeah.
Sure.
For a quarterback, does that make him feel like he has the pressure to be great, and he's forcing balls into windows that don't need to be throwing him into? He's,
maybe,
making. I don't know. I think I got a feeling. Game 1 is against UConn is going to be very interesting for him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to be a good test for him to get adjusted.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I don't know. You want to go vanilla, right? As much as you can to get them warmed up and settled in, wade into the water, if you will. But I don't know. I feel like that could be like a negative thing. I think maybe by game 2 or second half of the first game, you're hoping to see the nerves kind of get away from everybody and that kind of thing.
I think you're gonna have to by game 2. Game 2 is Notre Dame, so I mean that's arguably the toughest team we play outside of Clemson.
Yeah, so let's say he's feeling the pressure and he's like, he throws 2 interceptions in the first quarter. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know. I mean, State's going to be throwing the ball a lot more, in my opinion, right? I don't know if it's going to be very, very interesting to see the dynamic between Doran, Anai, and Armstrong. Like, how is that blend when mistakes happen? Is that going to go well?
Mm-hmm.
How long is that leash?
Yeah.
With how do the fans feel and react about it? You know, you're taking more. I don't know.
You mentioned, the chip on the shoulder. You want them to play with that chip on shoulder, but play within the system, stay poised. You mentioned not forcing things into bad situations. You want to live to play the next down, all those cliches. But yeah, he's going to chuck it. I mean, there was times where he threw 45, 50 times a game at UVA. Mm-hmm. And some of that obviously was out of necessity, playing from behind or whatever. But he's got to make mistakes, but it's how do you rebound from those mistakes? Do you not let that define you from that game?
And the next thing, which, kind of goes into our next mailbag question here, which we kind of talked about here at Philip Danford, which once again, got to give a shout out, make sure to watch those episodes, which again will come up here in the next week or two, is that, kind of talking about that, with Beck, his offense was very not shot oriented, very, slowly but surely down the field. But with Anai, it's much more big shot focused. And so with that, you may see some more aggressiveness, and therefore you may see more turnovers. Mm-hmm. But the other side, what you'll say is, first of all, the defense has shown plenty of times before that they can handle, being put,
pick you up.
Yeah, they can pick that up. I think the biggest thing for this offense is no matter what it takes, if you could put at least, 28 points a game on the board, 28 points, no matter what it takes, you're in a good shot to win 75% of your games. I think. I feel very confident the defense can hold most of these teams 28 points or less.
Last year, if we scored 28 points in every game, we would have been 11-1. The only game we would have lost was Clemson. But if we scored 28 points in every other game, we would have been 11-1. Yeah.
And it took Oregon State's quarterback to beat us. Unbelievable. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. But that kind of goes into the next question here, which wow, I terribly I do not know why it looks like that. But anyway, so basically talking about a nice scheme. Like, when are we going to learn more about it? I'm not even going to show that one. I'm just going to say
first game of the season.
But yeah, no, like, when are we going to learn? Yeah, exactly. First game of the season. I think
go watch 2021 UVA highlights.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
seriously, it's not sarcastic. Go watch.
No. Yeah, he's got to go. Like I said, I mean, he's a disciple of Mike Leach. Yeah, he's a disciple of Mike Leach, so it's going to be that, you know, a version of his own version of air raid. They're going to space you out. They're going to find mismatches. They're going to use motion. I mean, the typical stuff that you're going to look for, and he's going to find weaknesses in the defense, and he's going to exploit the heck out of it. I mean, that's basically it in a nutshell.
Samuel coming in with the beautiful comment right here. I'd rather have a turnover taking a shot than a screen pass getting blown up. 100% ding, ding, ding.
If I could take 5 seconds, I rewatched that 2021 Clemson game last night because that's what I do in the summertime. It's a matter that I don't even know how we won that ball game, to be honest with you. All the dang screens that we threw in that game. It was ridiculous.
It's right. That was the biggest thing last year.
Yep.
That it was just so conservative.
Yeah,
that was the reason we won that 2021 Clemson game, is that we literally moved the ball down the field a little bit at a time. I think we had 90 plays to their like 50.
Yeah, it was like 100. It was like 100 plays. It really was.
Yeah. The time on the clock was like 40 minutes. They're 20, something like that.
Yeah.
I wonder if maybe that's what I didn't even think about that. I wonder if that's what State thought they could do going into Clemson this last year. Same formula. We won. We haven't won in 10 years. Do the same thing if we can help it.
Yeah, I don't know, but the point is to Samuel's message there. We're going to be more aggressive. We're going to be aggressive, beat aggressive. We're gonna put some points on the board. I'm excited about that. I really am.
100%. Well, especially you bring in a guy like Bradley Rosner, who he's not a 5 to 70 yard route slant guy. Like, he's a 20-25 yard post guy. Like, he's a vertical guy. He's a guy that's going to go up and get the ball. He's going to beat you with speed. So I mean, for the fact that they went after that guy as the only weapon they went after in the transfer portal shows you where they're trying to improve.
They brought Collins in too from Clemson.
Right, yeah. But I think Collins is more of a guy for next year that they see as, a guy that will be involved, but he won't be. I think he's kind of looked at as more of a project a little bit. Maybe 2024 would be more of his breakout year.
Who I'm excited about is the tight end position, whether that's Tulik, Penix, and Fred and Said. Like, I think
Penix and
no.
It's gonna be interesting.
It's really this simple. If Penix stays healthy, he has a all ACC caliber year.
So my thing is, though, like, if you look at, we talked about how Anai seems to like pretty versatile in how he calls his offenses, because he just mixed things up, and he made Arondé Gadsden, and with Syracuse look good, he made the guy at the quarterback look good.
True.
I'd be curious, who do you think becomes the guys in this year?
We can't give away all of our answers. I mean, we got to do a full preview.
We do got to do a preview, which will come up here in next.
Give a teaser. I'm curious.
So many.
I already said Penix. Let's put Penix aside.
Okay. I think Keon Lassane.
Really?
He's had moments.
Remember, hold on, because Keon Lassane was my breakout guy for last season. Which
I
mean, he definitely had a breakout guy. Well, he definitely broke out, which is cool. But I think that Julian Gray, with his speed and his versatility, and I think that they're going to play him a lot in that running back slot, maybe on some jet sweeps, some options, things like that. But also too, I mean, again, I think Rosner is a guy just with his experience with the again, like, you look at Arondé Gadsden, he has pretty much the same exact build as Gadsden. He's tall, he's fast, he's a mismatch, So those are two guys I would say is Julian Gray and Rosner. But
we still have Porter Rooks sitting there too. I mean, like, there's guys there. I think
Timmons could be a little more versatile than he was just, and I'll tell you, we didn't talk about this guy a lot, but I think Michael Allen could have a really big year.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
I mean, it's honestly, receivers, but I mean, I think they could use Michael Allen's space a lot more.
I would not be surprised if he overtakes running back 1 by like the second or third game of the season.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah.
No, I think it's already.
That's a teaser for the preview.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
Come back next week.
Yeah. So yeah, y'all. Again, gotta give a shout out now. Cam asking here about the running game. What's it gonna look like? Pause on that as again, we will get to some breakdowns here as we go. But last mailbag, and then we'll wrap this thing up here. I know we've gone a little bit over already. What is Avon's future at NC State? It's very simple, y'all. He has 3 years left on his contract. For those who haven't seen yet, he was on the Law of the Wolf episode with Joe Giglio. Made it very clear that he really has 2 goals. First one is, and the main one is to see the renovations at Doak be completed. I think he's made it very clear he wants that to be his legacy. He's always seen that as an opportunity to build, and I think that if he can leave here, and he said if he can leave here with elite style, he wants
the program to be in the top 20-25 position that he inherited it, and that he wants that to be kind of obviously, other than a championship, he wants those facilities to be his legacy, and they will be done right about the time that he retires. So,
which the only thing that pulled my hair out about that whole interview was the fact that he focused, like he mentioned national championship 10 times. I'm like, just focus on ACC championship, just ACC.
Well, you can only think big. ACC. I mean, just like
Coach, I know
Coach Valvano cutting down the nets. So,
but I'm like, Coach, you've lost 7, ACC championship games. Just win one.
Yeah,
I know.
That's the most head scratching, like the one that we've been on the cusp so much. You just want to see a breakthrough. I mean, we want to see a breakthrough and everything.
Which maybe for him, he's just like, it's just so bad. I'm not even going to talk about the ACC. I'm not even going to talk about it. So, but
go watch that episode. It's really good. It's a really good episode.
Great stories on there.
Yeah,
for sure.
Really good stories about Rodon and just really good. Had some nice things to say about Tommy White, which obviously kind of go back to your comment earlier about Coach Godwin from ECU. Avon obviously took the opposite approach with Tommy White, where you could have easily done what Coach Godwin did. So it's nice to see that Avon's a class act all around.
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, thank you all so much again for tuning in with us. I think this has been a very full episode. Like it seems like the Mario Williams Bradley Chubb debate happened like 3 hours ago with all the stuff we've covered since then. But thank you all so much. Hope you all enjoyed this. If you did enjoy us, do us a big favor. Hit that like button. It's just free to do, and that really helps support us in the channel. And also, to y'all, I'm going to make this very clear. Over the month of August, we are going to be coming out with a crap ton. Like I'm saying, like maybe 4 episodes a week of content. And it's all free. And the only way you can make sure you watch and take in all of it is hitting that free subscribe button and hitting that free notification bell. So that way you're notified whenever we come out with any new episodes. And some of these episodes are going to include interview with Andre Brown. Got to give a shout out here, teaser there. And we're interviewing former state running back great Andre Brown. We're interviewing Eric McLean from ACC Network. We're going to be doing our previews. We're going to be previewing the UConn game. A ton of stuff there, y'all. And I'm giving you all this inside stuff. And I even asked Greg and making them if I could even tease it. But I'm going to do it anyway. Why? Because I just want to. Because I want y'all to get as excited as I am about all the content we're coming out with this month, y'all. So make sure to go and do that. And also, too, if you want to join in on our free Discord channel, it's pinned to the top of our Twitter page. So if you want to join, it's free to join. And that way you can discuss NC State sports with Wolfpack Nation and us directly. Make sure to go and do that. And make sure to give us a follow, Tuffy Talk Now on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok, y'all. Greg, Michael, any last comments here before we wrap this thing up?
I'm just looking forward to 1 month. I'm excited about doing these previews. That probably for episodes we do in the year. So
absolutely.
Some of the best people we've had, since I've been on easily. I mean, I know you guys have interviewed some of the legends, but we got a good list coming up. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah. Besides interviewing Boneyard podcast, that's still a little bit salty, but Anyway, y'all. Well, thank you all so much. Yeah, you live and you learn. I know that was my fault. Anyway, y'all. Well, thank you all so much again for tuning in with us. We will see y'all soon and hopefully be celebrating next week after a huge, huge week coming up here, y'all. See y'all soon and go Pack, baby.